Crane quickly put on his mask, and then he waved his arm at Batman. Whoosh! A cloud of white smoke came out of his coat. Batman's nose and mouth were suddenly on fire. He started to see all the worst things from his life in front of his eyes. I felt this way before, he thought. But where? Then he remembered. Ra's al Ghul, the wooden box, the bats, the building on fire. He got to the window on his hands and feet. Crane watched him. "You're going to die, Batman," he said. Batman climbed slowly through the window, up the wall and onto the roof. He pulled out his mobile phone. "Alfred," he said. "Alfred, I need you. Please come quickly. I'm ill, and I need a blood test." Terrible thoughts were now in Bruce's head. He was at the show, the bats, his parents, a gun, blood in the street, and then nothing. He opened his eyes. He was home, in his bedroom. Alfred came in. "How long have I been asleep?" Bruce asked. 2 days, sir," answered Alfred. "It's your birthday today." "It was the white smoke," said Bruce. "Luckily there wasn't very much of it. But I felt like that once before in my life, on the mountain in Bhutan. But this time it seemed much stronger." "I've got the results of the blood test," said Alfred. He gave Bruce a piece of paper. "It's a very dangerous drug," he said. "It can kill people. But I know someone who can make an antidote." The next day, Bruce showed the results to Lucius Fox. "This was in your blood," he said. "You're lucky you didn't die." "Yes, I've been very lucky," said Bruce. "Can you make an antidote?" "I think so," said Fox, "but it won't be easy." "One more thing," said Bruce. "Do you know what Wayne Enterprises 47B1ME is?" "No, I don't," said Fox, "but I can probably find out. Sergeant Gordon went to see Rachel." "Will Falcone go to prison this time?" he asked her. "I think so," said Rachel. "It's in all the newspapers." "Batman came to see me, Miss Dawes," said Gordon. "He asked for my help." "Yes, I know," said Rachel. "He came to see me, too. We're working with a man in a mask, Sergeant Gordon. Perhaps he's dangerous." "I don't think so," said Gordon. "He's done lots of good things already." The door opened and Bruce Wayne came in. "Oh, sorry," he said. "I'll come back later." Gordon knew Bruce Wayne from the newspapers. "It's okay, Mr. Wayne," he said. "I was just leaving." He went out. "What do you want, Bruce?" Rachel asked angrily. "I want to invite you to a party tonight," he said, "and to say I'm sorry." Rachel smiled. She could never be really cross with him. "Where's the party?" "It's at home, at Wayne Manor," he said. An officer opened the door. "They've moved Falcone from the police station to Arkham Asylum," he said. "Who decided that?" asked Rachel. "The boss there, Dr. Crane." Rachel quickly put some things into a bag. "I have to go," she said to Bruce. "And I don't think I can come to your party tonight." "I'm sorry." She opened the door and turned to Bruce. "Happy birthday, Bruce," she said. Chapter 5. Ra's al Ghul is dead. Rachel was in Dr. Crane's office at the asylum. Batman was listening outside the building. "Falcone is just going to prison when he suddenly becomes mentally ill," said Rachel. "Isn't that a little strange, Dr. Crane? Would you like to see Falcone, Miss Dawes?" "Then you'll be able to decide for yourself," said Crane. "Come with me, I'll show you." Falcone lay on his bed. He couldn't move. "Mask, Mask, Mask, he was saying. You've given him drugs, said Rachel. Yes, of course, said Crane. We give drugs to all our people here. It's a hospital. The police doctor must see him and do some blood tests, said Rachel. I'm going to call him right now. Very well, said Crane. Come this way. They went down some stairs and came to a door. It had an electronic lock. Crane put some numbers in and it opened. They turned right and walked to a large room. There were hundreds of small blue bags on the tables. People in white coats were working at the tables. We make our drugs here, said Crane. Rachel turned and ran. She got to the door, but Crane had locked it again. She pushed different numbers. Nothing happened. Suddenly, a horrible masked man appeared next to her, and then a cloud of white smoke. Rachel lay on a table. Who knows you're here? Shouted Crane. I want to know before I kill you. What do we do now? Asked one of the men. Call the police, said Crane. You want the police here? Asked the other man. He was surprised. Batman's here, said Crane. I'm sure of it. The police will catch him. Suddenly, a black thing flew at them and hit the two men. They fell to the floor. Batman looked around. Where was Crane? He heard a sound behind him and turned. In the dark, he saw a mask and a hand. Batman pulled the mask off Crane's face. He held Crane's hand under his own nose. Smoke came from a bottle inside Crane's coat. White smoke. Whoosh! Crane's body dropped to the floor. Who are you working for? Shouted Batman. Who's your boss? Ra's al Ghul, said Crane. He spoke with great difficulty. Ra's al Ghul is dead, Crane, said Batman. Who are you really working for? Crane's eyes closed. He said only a few words. Mask, drugs, smoke, water, steam. There was a loud voice outside. Batman, come out. There are police everywhere. We are all around the building. You can't escape. Batman found Rachel. He took her in his arms and climbed up to the roof. Sergeant Gordon went into the building to find Batman. He started to climb the stairs. Suddenly he felt an arm around him and he was flying up and up. Batman dropped him carefully onto the roof. Then Gordon saw Rachel lying there. What's happened to her? He asked. Crane gave her a dangerous drug, said Batman. She'll die very soon. I must get the antidote for her. How will you escape? Asked Gordon. I'm going to call for help, said Batman. He pushed something on his shoe. It made a very high sound. A big black cloud started to grow in the sky above Gotham. It grew and moved nearer and nearer. Finally, it came down on the hospital roof. Bats! Thousands of bats! They flew all around Bruce and Rachel. The bats hid Batman and Rachel until they reached the Batmobile. Batman drove home to the Batcave. When they arrived, Bruce looked at Rachel carefully. Her eyes were closed and she wasn't moving. She was cold. He carried her from the Batmobile to the work table. He gave her the antidote. He hoped that it wasn't too late. At Arkham Asylum, there were police everywhere. A young police officer ran over to Sergeant Gordon. "Sir," he shouted, "there's something that you must see." Gordon followed him into another big room. In the center of the floor was a small door. It was open. Gordon looked through the door and saw the river below. There were 5 or 6 large bottles next to the door. "They've used the river for something," said Gordon. "But what?" He looked at the bottles. "I want to speak to someone at the water office," he shouted. "Now!" Rachel woke up. She felt terrible. "How do you feel?" someone asked. She knew the voice. She looked at the face. It was Batman. "Where am I?" she asked. "Why did you bring me here?" "You were very ill," he said. "I rescued you. I remember now." "That horrible mask," she said. "It was Crane. I must tell Sergeant Gordon." She tried to move. "No, don't get up. Stay where you are," said Batman. "Sergeant Gordon has got Crane already." "Why did you save my life?" she asked. "Gotham needs you," he said. "Here, take this. It will help you sleep. When you wake up, please find Sergeant Gordon. Give him these." He held up 2 small bottles. "Only Gordon. No one else." "What are they?" she asked. "The antidote to this killer drug," said Batman. "One bottle is for Gordon himself. He can use the other bottle to make some more of the antidote for everyone." Crane wasn't the boss. He was working for someone else, Rachel said. "Something Al Ghul." "Ra's al Ghul," said Batman. "No, it's not Ra's al Ghul. He's dead. I was there when he died." But Rachel was asleep. Chapter 6. A Surprise Guest. In the empty workroom, Sergeant Gordon was talking on the phone. "Someone has put a dangerous drug into the city's water," Gordon said. "Well, we test the water every day," answered the man from the water office, "and today's results seem fine." "Perhaps it's safe to drink but dangerous to smell," said Gordon. "That's possible," said the waterman. When he finished his phone call, Gordon saw the large ship's box. "What's that?" he asked. "Let's open it." They got the top off and found a machine. "It's bigger than a car," said an officer. "What does it say on it?" "Wayne Enterprises." 47B1. "Me," Gordon read. "What does it do?" asked an officer. "I've no idea," answered Gordon. "But no one must go near it, okay?" Bruce left the cave and went up into the house. Everyone was having a great time at his birthday party. When he appeared, they all sang, "Happy birthday to you." Bruce walked around saying hello to his guests. Finally, he found the person he wanted. Lucius Fox. "That machine," he said quietly. "Have you found out anything?" "Yes, I have." "It can change water into steam," Fox said. Bruce thought for a moment. "So you could put a dangerous drug in the water," he said, "and then you could change the water into steam and kill everyone in the city. Could you?" "Yes, you could," said Fox. "Oh no." Bruce went quietly across the room towards the door. He had to leave as soon as possible. But on the way, a woman took his arm. It was Mrs. Delane, an old friend of his father. "Bruce," she said, "I want you to meet someone." "I'm sorry. I can't stop now, Mrs. Delane," said Bruce. "I have to." But then he looked at the man with Mrs. Delane. The man wore a blue flower in his jacket. "This is Mr. Al Ghul, Bruce," said Mrs. Delane. "You're not Ra's al Ghul," Bruce said to the man. "No, you're right, Bruce," said a voice behind him. He turned around. It was Ducard. "He isn't Ra's al Ghul," said Ducard. "I am. I'm not Ducard. I never was. And you, Bruce, were my best student until you escaped." Bruce looked around the room and saw that he didn't know some of the people there. They weren't his friends. They were ninjas. His guests were in danger. They had to get out fast. What could he do? He took a glass and shouted, "Let's drink to my birthday. Let's drink to all my guests. You don't like me, do you? You're here because you like my money. You just want some free food and drink." The guests were very upset and angry. They left the house at once. They got in their cars and drove away. Ra's al Ghul laughed. "They will die very soon anyway," he said. "So was Crane working for you?" asked Bruce. "Yes, he was," said Ra's al Ghul. "But he was only interested in money. I want much more than that. When Gotham dies, people everywhere will be frightened. There will be fighting and killing all over the world. Man will disappear. No more people. The world will be wonderful again. I saved you, Bruce, but you fought me. You set fire to my home. Since then, your activities have made trouble for us. Now we're going to make trouble for you." Ra's al Ghul shouted an order to his men. "Go ahead." The ninjas started to set fire to the furniture. Some kilometers away at Arkham Asylum, 4 police officers were standing around the machine. What did Gordon say? "No one must go near it," one of them said. "Except us, of course." They all laughed. Another one looked at his watch. "It's time," he said. They turned on the machine and then put explosives along the wall. They weren't following Sergeant Gordon's orders. At the same time, high above the city, a train driver looked at his watch. "The train stops here," he said. "Everyone out." The passengers got out. The same thing was happening on buses and trains all over the city. Everything in Gotham stopped. Sergeant Gordon was standing outside Arkham Asylum. Rachel ran towards him. She gave him the 2 small bottles. "These are from Batman. Foom!" Before he could answer, there was a big explosion. Gordon ran towards the room with the machine. There was no wall. 4 police officers were pushing the machine outside. One of them pushed something on the machine. It started to make a strange sound. Foom! There was a second explosion. Foom! Then another. Foom! Then another. There was steam everywhere. A small cloud of steam moved towards Gordon. The smell reached him. His nose and mouth were on fire. At the water office, the workers were looking at a map of Gotham City. There were small lights all over the map. All the lights were green, except one. The light at Arkham Asylum was red. Wayne Manor was on fire. "Have you come to kill me?" Bruce asked Ra's. "No," said Ra's. "I've come to ask you a question. Will you join us?" "Never," said Bruce. "I don't want to be part of this." "Then fight me," said Ra's, "and die with Gotham." He took out a sword. They fought and fought until finally Bruce stood over Ra's with his sword above Ra's head. "You taught me very well, Ra's," he said. "Yes, I did," said Ra's. "But you always forget to look very carefully at the things around you." Crack! Bruce looked up. The roof was on fire. Part of it was falling towards him. Bang! It hit him, and he fell to the floor. "Goodbye, my friend," said Ra's. He ran out of the building. A car was waiting for him. Chapter 7. Crash! "Master Bruce! Master Bruce! Get up!" Bruce opened his eyes. Alfred was next to him, and a part of the roof lay on top of him. "Push," said Alfred. "You're strong. You can do it." Bruce pushed, and finally Alfred moved the piece of roof to one side. Bruce got up and they escaped to the cave below. "Oh, Alfred," he said, "what have I done? Wayne Manor is on fire and I can't help Gotham. I've made so many mistakes." Alfred smiled. "And why do we fall, sir?" he asked. "We fall," said Bruce, "so that we can learn to get up again. I must go." He changed into his bat suit and took off in the Batmobile. Whoosh! In a few minutes he was in Gotham. The criminals from Arkham Asylum were running everywhere. They were shouting and dancing and breaking things. Rachel watched. Above her, a train stopped. Some men in masks started to move a large machine onto it. She ran to find Sergeant Gordon in the asylum. He was sitting on the floor. She could see that he was very ill. He needed the antidote fast. She took one of the bottles out of his pocket. "It's okay," she said. "I can help you." Rachel gave Gordon the antidote, and he slowly started to feel better. The people from the asylum were shouting and coming nearer. They were feeling bad from the white cloud. Suddenly, they started running towards Rachel and Gordon. "Oh no," thought Rachel. "They're going to kill us." "Whom?" The Batmobile arrived from nowhere. Batman ran towards Rachel. He gave Gordon the keys to the Batmobile. "Drive carefully," he said. Batman took Rachel in his arms and climbed up to the roof with her, above the dangerous cloud. Gordon ran to the Batmobile. From the roof, Rachel and Batman could see all of Gotham. "They were putting a large machine onto the train," said Rachel. Just then, the train started to move. Batman suddenly understood. "Of course," he said. "The railway line runs exactly over the river next to Wayne Tower. Roz is going to use the machine there. He's going to turn the city's water into steam. He's going to kill everyone." Batman moved to the edge of the roof. "Batman, don't jump," said Rachel. "You could die. Please tell me your name. The things I do are important, not the things I say." "Bruce? Bruce!" shouted Rachel. But Batman couldn't hear. He was flying down. He landed on the roof of the train and held on. Bang! 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 People inside the train fired guns through the roof. They hit Batman 3 times. He fell off the roof. The ninjas in the last car of the train looked out of the window. First they looked up. No Batman. Then they looked down. Batman was still there. He was hanging from a long line, flying from side to side under the train. On a street below the train, there was a ninja in the back of a green car. He was pointing his machine gun at Batman. Gordon came around the corner in the Batmobile. He was driving very fast. "Kerzem!" He hit the green car. It crashed and exploded into a ball of fire. Batman climbed up the line to the train. He got into the last car and finished the ninjas there. Then he went to the front of the train. When he reached the first car, Roz turned. His mouth opened. "You?" he said. He took out his sword and ran at Batman. Batman quickly moved to the front edge of the train. Roz lifted his sword over Batman's head. Batman held it and broke it in two. The train was moving nearer and nearer to the center of Gotham. It was moving nearer and nearer to Wayne Tower. "I must stop the train," thought Batman. He reached out of the front of the train and threw Ra's al Ghul's sword under the wheels. There was a terrible noise. Roz threw himself onto Batman and put his hands over his mouth and nose. Batman couldn't move. Everything started to go black. "Now you're really frightened, aren't you?" said Roz. Batman looked into Ra's face. He saw the end of the world there. That made Batman angry. And when he was angry, he was strong. He suddenly pushed hard against Roz and flew out of the train and into the sky. Roz looked up in surprise and anger. Then he was very frightened. The train was going to crash in less than a second. It came off the railway line and fell down and down. And then, crash! It landed in the car park in front of Wayne Tower and exploded into a ball of fire. Soon all the bad guys were in prison or out of a job. The people of Gotham began to build their great city again. Everyone wanted to work together now. William Earl walked into his office the day after the train crash. He found Lucius Fox behind his desk. "What are you doing in my office?" he asked. "It's my office now," said Fox happily. "I'm the new boss of Wayne Enterprises." "Who says?" Earl asked. "I say," said Bruce from behind Earl. "It's my business. Goodbye, Mr. Earl." There were builders at Wayne Manor. They were slowly and carefully building a new house, exactly like the old one. Bruce went to the old well in the garden. He put a big piece of wood across the top. Rachel was there with him. "I fell down this well a long time ago." "Do you remember?" he asked her. "Of course," she answered. "Things were never the same after that," he said. "What was different?" she asked. Bruce put another piece of wood across the well. Now it was completely closed. "I wasn't a child anymore," he said. "I began to be a man." "You're a great man, Bruce," she said. Bruce looked at her. She could see that he loved her. "There's no place for me between Batman and Bruce Wayne," she said. "I don't have to be Batman," he said. "I can choose my own life." "No," she said, "I don't think you can. Great people can't always choose their lives. Gotham needs you. Goodbye, Bruce." "Goodbye, Rachel," he said. "I'll do my best for Gotham." "I know you will," she said.